Hello, welcome back to Firesense Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain 2.0. So last time out, we had a little chat with Marcel Caranti, but decided to ignore him and didn't change the ownership laws for any of the major corporations. And then we got threatened by, what's his name, Walter Tusk. So yeah, that was fun. Let's pick it up here. Let's start with the newspapers. Why not? We got two of them here. So first step, from the Whole Sword Post, police launch successful raids. Earlier this week, the police launched raids on shops and warehouses in Arvory City and Estord City. Their operations are reported to confiscate more than 2,000 legal firearms and drugs. Just 2,000 drugs? I love it. The captain of the police force in charge of these raids has released a statement saying that the shops are from the two notorious crime families, the Skinner and the Coronelli family. Those operations were only possible due to the law enforcement budget increase. It has allowed us to launch investigations of the local police, purging the corrupted ones, getting information about the networks, said the Ministry of the Interior. It appears that thanks to President Anton, law and order will soon come back to Sortland. Cool. From Geopolitico, CSP criticizes Rumberg and Arcasia. The Cantonan Security Pact recently issued a stark condemnation of Rumberg and the Grace network of monarchies, accusing them of attempting to reverse the trends set by the Century of Revolutions. Arcasia, too, found itself under the CSP's lens, suspected of maintaining covert links with Rumberg. This statement from the CSP further intensifies the ideological tug-of-war that characterizes the present geopolitical landscape. Interesting. Alright, looks like we got one report here from Rumberg. Oh, we got two reports. Even better. Alright. From Rumberg. Rumberg informs of whistleblower escape. Rumberg has informed us about an escaped whistleblower headed to Swordland. They have prematurely requested the extradition of any whistleblowers from Rumberg if they are to be found. Chelston Hailstone, the said whistleblower, is reported to possess highly sensitive information about a covert weapons program. Queen Beatrix Livingston's administration has demanded the immediate return of Hailstone, considering his defection as a breach of trust between the two nations. I mean, obviously when that comes up, we'll take him in like always, but, yeah, admitting that he has information on covert weapons programs, be like, nah, just send him back. We're totally not going to use him on you. That doesn't sound like a very good idea. Whatever. Anyway, there you go. From Whole Sword, positive presidential approval rating. Recent approval rating polling conducted by Chief Strategist Galad has shown that we've landed above the 50% presidential approval rating. Our administration's performance has been confirmed with the diverse poll taken by 1,000 attendees from all the regions of Swordland. Alright, well that's good. We just have to hopefully defang the military and the old guard here pretty soon, or else we're going to be in trouble. But, for right now, we're going to attend the assembly vote on constitutional changes. Surge is driving me towards the Grand National Assembly for today's historic vote. It was a big day. I wondered whether my attempt at changing the Constitution would end any differently than Alfonso's. I looked out the window as the noise of the city diminished and saw that we were already inside the palace complex. The complex housed the buildings of all government branches in the center of Holsword. It was one of the biggest developments in Sortland. The Maroon Palace stood on a small hilltop surrounded by trees. We passed the palace and entered the forest that separated it from the Grand National Assembly. We drove on a small road that wound through the forest. It was a warm day, so I rolled down the window. I could hear birds singing from the trees.
Are you okay back there, sir?
Hey, Serge, I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm as good as can be, sir.
Serge made a left turn out of the forest and entered the vast garden area of the assembly.
Did you know that Mr. Tarkin's soul came to Holsword this morning? I heard some politicians talk about it today. Apparently this is the first time he's come to the city in the last 5 years. I thought he left the mainland and lived on Douro Island and never returned to politics. But they're saying he might be here to exercise a member of honor rights for the first time.
That's troubling.
Do you think he's here because of today's vote?
Yes, Serge, most likely.
Well, I'm sure he'll support you, sir.
I doubt that. Serge drove inside the gates of the parkway and parked the car.
We have arrived, sir.
Thank you, Serge.
Good luck with the vote, sir. My family and I are all behind you. I'm sure Sortland is as well.
I walked up the white stone stairs of the Grand National Assembly. The entrance looked like a temple gate from the classical era. The door opened to reveal vast corridors of wood and white stone. I joined the crowd of people who were walking slowly towards the parliamentary hall. Suddenly, I noticed Lucien emerge from the crowd of packed politicians in front of me. He looked relieved when he saw me.
Ah, sir, there you are. Have you seen Vice President Vector? He's nowhere to be found.
sure he's among the crowd somewhere.
I hope you're right. At any rate, how about you? How about yourself? Are you finally ready to face the assembly, sir?
Lucien, I've just heard something worrying from Serge.
We'll address this later, sir. Come, we must go inside.
We followed the crowd into the parliamentary hall. After we were inside, Lucien and I separated to take our assigned seats. I went up to the mezzanine overlooking the hall and sat down. I waited as the MPs took their places inside the hall one by one. After a while, I saw Gloria walk to her elevated seat at the center of the hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We will begin shortly with today's agenda of the USP's proposed changes to the Constitution of Solden.
After a while, everybody was in their seats.
According to the current Constitution, constitutional amendments require a two-thirds majority in order to reach Assembly approval. If the vote succeeds, the proposal will be sent to the Supreme Court. The proposal in question includes these points.
She started reading the proposal to the Assembly.
First section of changes, Article 57 is modified with the following.
She continued reading the proposal, highlighting each section.
Section 2, paragraph 36. She went on. May not exercise his right to... and on. The justices of the Supreme Court.
Most of the MPs seem like they're already falling asleep. Okay, that sounds like horrendously boring.
A simple majority is considered... the sea was really hurting my back. Section 4, paragraph 44A.
It felt like an eternity had passed. Finally, she finished reading the changes.
I hereby invite all of you to vote.
She struck her gavel down. The loud bang made some MPs jump up in shock as they woke from their deep sleep.
As I previously stated, it would require a two-thirds majority in order to pass. You may now cast your votes.
Yeah, I felt the need to stand up and stretch. I looked down at the hall from the platform I was seated on. Some Assembly members immediately walked to the ballot box to cast votes. Most of them, however, began to congregate in groups around the hall discussing the changes. I think I'm going to go and go down and chat with them. Why not? I descended from the mezzanine down to the hall. As soon as I reached the bottom of the stairs, Cassara Keebner approached me.
Mr. President, how are you feeling about the vote?
Very positive.
Even knowing you don't have our support, how optimistic of you. I have lost my respect for you, Mr. Rain. So many problems in Solden must be addressed, and yet you insist on stalling with your democratic reforms. I know you'll fail. You will lose the game, and so will your entire administration. I hope to be there when that happens.
Keep hoping, Mr. Keebner. He laughed. He abruptly turned away from me and walked toward his seat. Then I saw Lucien waving at me. He was among a group of people in the corner of the hall. I walked up to him. On my way, I bumped into Mansoon Leek.
Mr. President, I'm sorry I didn't see you there. I wish you good luck with the vote. I respect your fight to abolish the Member of Honor position. At last, Chancellor Tarkin still accountable for what he did to the British people. You have my support. I'd like to also see you support British rights in the future. I hope you stand by us.
Thank you for the nice words. You have my support, too.
I hope you stand by your words, Mr. President. Anyway, I've got to go cast my vote.
He shook my hand and walked away. I'd certainly like to help the Bloods if I can. I finally reached Lucien, by now deep in conversation with another member of our party. He excused himself and turned towards me.
Sir, did you vote yet? We have to be quick.
No, let's vote. I signed my vote and prepared the envelope. Together, Lucy and I walked to the center of the hall to cast our votes. He kept rushing me throughout the process. Gloria bowed her head slightly in respect as she saw us vote. Lucien pulled at my arm and whispered in my ear.
Mr. President, we may have a problem. Tarkin's soul is here.
Yeah, I know. I literally tried to tell you about that earlier. You told me to shut up and get inside.
You have to accelerate the voting process. We need everybody to vote as soon as possible. We don't know what he's capable of right now, but if Assembly members see him, he might influence them against the proposal.
What can he even do?
You of all people know the strength of his personality. We must keep the Assembly's attention focused on you and your reforms.
Let's go talk to Gloria, I guess? I walked to Gloria and asked her to speed up the voting. She banged the gavel several times. The sound echoed across the room.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Assembly, we are soon begin counting. Please cast your votes if you haven't already.
The pace in the hall definitely increased. The groups dispersed, and MPs began lining up the ballot box. I wasn't expecting her to actually do anything. That's cool. Suddenly, Lucien pulled me aside.
So, what do we do now?
He pointed at the back of the assembly near one of the exits. I followed his finger to see Tarkin Soul sitting there. He looked much older than he had 5 years ago, but I could tell he had the same fire in him. Some MPs already gathered around him were chatting in awe. The assembly gradually went quiet as people started to notice Soul's presence in the hall. Should we do something?
We should refrain from giving him the spotlight he expects. Maybe you can address him after the vote.
As I was talking to Lucien, I spotted Cassara Keemer walking to the back of the hall towards Tarkin Soul. He bowed in front of Soul and gave a military salute. Seeing this, more people started to approach him. Suddenly, Gloria came up behind us.
Gentlemen, why don't you go back to your seats? Let's follow the procedure. Oh, by the way, we have 251 members here today. And as you can see, the Member of Honor is here. He's already cast his vote.
Has he now? So, Mrs. Story, how many votes are missing?
Only a few.
Alban Clavin and 3 other men approached us with envelopes in their hands.
And these must be them.
Good day to you, gentlemen, Madam Speaker. Good day, Mr. Clavin. I'm sorry to take so long, Mr. President. There was a friend who needed more clarification for his votes. He gestured at the men behind him. Let's get this over with, gentlemen. They went ahead and cast their votes. Let's win this, Mr. President. He walked to his seat with a fist in the air.
Now, why don't you two go back to your seats as well?
Very well, we shall.
We both went back to our seats. When I returned back to the mezzanine, I saw Peter sitting in the chair next to mine. Did you cast your vote?
Oh, yes, of course.
He looked at Gloria as she and her assistants counted the votes. The speaker's seat was only a few meters away from our platform.
I really hope this proposal goes through.
I mean, Soul is here.
Yeah, what?
Maybe he's here to make a statement.
Ah, fuck.
He tried to get Gloria's attention by waving at her.
How many votes left?
Gloria looked at Peter. She looked annoyed.
It's looking pretty good. 20 more votes to count.
Peter turned to me.
Ah, thank God.
We're gonna get this.
Come on.
Peter looked uneasy. He pointed at where Friends Richter was sitting.
Look at Friends over there. I'm sure he's behind this mess. You shouldn't have trusted him.
It's not over yet, Peter. Don't jump to conclusions. Isn't Friends in charge of the reformist party? Why would he invite Tarkin Soul?
Well,
a single bang from Gloria's gavel reverberated across the hall. Everyone fell silent.
The voting has been concluded.
I leaned forward to hear the results.
The proposal has 225 ayes and 26 nays. A historic result. Thereby, the Grand National Assembly surpassed a two-thirds majority and accepted the changes to the Constitution. The proposal will be presented to the Supreme Court shortly for the final voting procedure.
The assembly roared with all kinds of different reactions.
Yes! We did it!
Yeah, it's just the beginning. The MPs kept shouting in the hall. Among them, I heard Friends Richter's voice.
I want to congratulate the members of the Assembly and the President for finally passing changes to our dusty Constitution. I also want to thank members of the United Soldier Party for working with our party. I hereby invite the Supreme Court to do the right thing by not ignoring the decision of the Grand National Assembly that was elected by the Soldier people.
Loud applause came from the PFJP seats. I don't think that was the right voice for him, but I don't really care. He's probably not going to show up. He might be back another time, but... Suddenly, I noticed Tarkin Soul slowly rising from his seat at the back. He seemed to be struggling and used his cane for help. He stood and gazed around the hall as all the members of the Grand National Assembly went silent. Let's just keep watching him. I kept watching him as he stared at the MPs. He walked out the exit as 2 of his guards held the doors for him.
Thank God he didn't do anything. In any case, the proposal has passed the Assembly. Now we have to think about the Supreme Court.
I'll talk to the key figures at the court. We'll be fine.
They have complete trust in you.
After I talked with Peter about the vote, we both left the hall to discuss our next steps. We waited for Surge by the entrance. Cool. Alright. That was definitely better than I was hoping. And we got 4 newspapers here, so let's check them out. So, from the Whole Sword Post, constitutional changes passed by the Assembly. The Grand National Assembly of Swordland on Friday approved the amendments to the Constitution that were proposed by the United Swordland Party. I officially announced the approval of the constitutional amendments, said Speaker Gloria Torrey after the proposal was passed in a public session. According to Torrey, 225 lawmakers voted in favor of the amendments. Only 1 member of Assembly abstained from voting in the session attended by 251 members of the 250-seat Parliament, including President Rain and Member of Honor Tarkin Sol. This was a historic victory, said Torrey about the results. Next week on Friday, the Supreme Court will also vote on the amendments, ultimately deciding if the changes will be implemented or not. From Swordland Today, Rain's reforms win over the Assembly. Today marked the biggest win of Anton Rain's term as the Assembly approved his proposal for reforming Sword's constitution. The surprise presence of Tarkin Sol at the proceedings shifted the required number of votes from 166 to a 2/3 majority. Still, Rain's new amendments passed with flying colors. Only one hurdle now remains, the Supreme Court. We are hopeful that they, too, will rule in Rain's favor so that the people of Swordland finally receive the change they sorely deserve. In Lockhaven Times, Richter congratulates President. After the successful passing of Anton Rain's constitutional reforms, Friends Richter had a private meeting with the President to congratulate him on his victory, sources say. Aligning with Richter and his party was key to gathering the amount of votes needed for Rain's proposal to pass, and this meeting shows that the USP and PFGP may remain in cahoots through the remainder of Rain's term. I don't remember having a private meeting with Friends Richter, but that's okay. And from the Radical, new constitution passes the Assembly. Kind of surprised. In spite of heavy opposition and a special appearance from Old Man Tarkin Sol himself, President Rain actually managed to get his constitutional reforms past the Assembly. We've been advocating for changes to Sol's dusty constitution for years, although it's doubtful that the changes Rain is advocating are the same as those we have in mind. Even if Rain decided to come down on the side of democracy and fairness, getting a proposal like this past Gloria Torrey's gavel must have required a great deal of compromise, and getting approval from the Supreme Court will require even more. That's fair, but I don't think I compromised too much, but that's alright. Radicals always got to bitch about something. Alright, looks like all we have is Whole Sword for meeting on the results of the Assembly vote. Lucy and Pan and I convened on the massive balcony of the palace. It was nice to catch a breeze in the increasing summer heat. Both had grins on their faces, but Peter's got larger as he kept recounting our success in the Assembly. Fellas, the first obstacle's been cleared. Congratulations to all of us. Great job, gentlemen. Peter leaned on the balcony railing. What about Tarkin Sol? Did you see him again?
As far as I know, he's still staying in Whole Sword, but hasn't cared to pay his respects to President Rain yet.
What the hell's that about anyway? Him appearing out of nowhere. He came to the Assembly to make a statement, but we still won the vote.
I am sorry that we failed to warn you who'd be attending, Mr. President. We should have been informed about his arrival.
Well, Lucian said we apologize. I mean, I learned it from Surge. How come my driver knows more than you?
In a situation such as this, I'd expect a call to report to me. But you're right, sir. We should have done our own research.
What did Surge know anyway? He said he overheard some people talking about her on the Assembly.
It seems some of our respected MPs already knew about this.
He didn't see who they were, did he? No, he didn't. At least, not that he told us anyway. Oh, that's too bad.
In any case, I'll conduct proper investigations into this. We should know every hidden old guard member who's working with Sol. But for now, let's move on.
Yeah, we have the first hurdle cleared, but now we have the constant of grumpy old men in our way.
I have to say, that's a fitting description for the courts, but unfortunately for us, they're more than that. There are large obstacles yet. Also, you're forgetting about Mrs. Edmonds. They're not all grumpy old men. But they are all grumpy.
Yeah, the real trouble is with Big Daddy Hawker. We can't let him control the court against us.
We surely cannot. We'll need to work with Mr. Garachi and Mrs. Edmonds, not mine also. Mrs. Morgan has been helping out the lobbying of the court. She's been speaking with Mrs. Edmonds, and we believe she's our key figure on the inside. Our lobbying efforts are continuing positively, but they have yet to yield concrete results. It will be ultimately up to Mrs. Morgan and you to persuade the justices, sir.
And we already have me inside the court. That's 1 vote out of 11.
It's fine. We can do it together. I trust Nia.
I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but Mrs. Morgan cannot do this alone. Let's not forget about Mr. Hawker and his loyalists. We'll still need to reach out to the Old Guard and the Morrits in order to reach 6 votes.
Do you think we can do it?
We've come this far. Anything's possible. If we cannot get Mrs. Edmonds' censures, we'll have no choice but to reach out to the Old Guard.
I'm sure the assembly vote must come for something. I mean, it passed by 90%, for God's sake. We won't dare reject such a popular proposal.
It was indeed a historic vote. The President has accomplished something even Tarkin's so much trouble with. But this all may also make the court see as the ultimate threat. I wouldn't be so relaxed.
Don't worry, I'll talk to the justices and convince them.
I believe in you, sir.
In any case, we should start with the best bet. I already asked Nia to arrange a meeting with Mrs. Edmonds. She's willing to speak with you. And that's a good start. If she's willing to talk, she's willing to cooperate. I'm sure you'll convince her. Lucien suddenly turned and pointed at the side entrance to the balcony.
Look who's coming.
It was Franz Richter. He slowly walked up to us with a smile on his face. Afternoon, gentlemen. How are you all doing? Afternoon, Mr. Richter. Busy as always, Mr. Richter. How about you? The same goes for me, Mr. President. These are some busy days indeed.
Especially after that mutual victory. We should thank you for your efforts, Mr. Richter. You were of tremendous assistance.
Franz bowed his head slightly in response. I'm looking forward to having many more cooperations between us, and victories. I wish you good luck with the Supreme Court. I have conversed with Mrs. Morgan and Justice Zizek. We have at least 3 justices supporting the proposal. We must be united if we want to break them. We must also be seen as more united than ever. Therefore, I'd like to propose a proper alliance for the next elections, and more in-depth collaboration throughout the rest of the current term. Let's see. I mean, I don't really want to work with him, but I have a feeling if he's working with Nia to convince the justice, we're probably going to need his help. So, I'd love to accept such a proposal, Mr. Richter. And that's great to hear. Such a grand coalition has never happened in Swordland before. We should show the people that our parties can work together, that civility and cooperation is possible. Yeah, it would be great. It would surely have a great symbolic meaning, especially if we can change the constitution. I'll reach out to you soon about it. We must start organizing and announce it as soon as possible. Franz reached down at his pocket, fumbled with a handkerchief, and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Anyway, I'll leave you 3 to it. We should catch up soon. I'd rather get inside now. The sun is getting intense. He walked back to the door and left the balcony. Oh, that was interesting. So, we decided to join the forces of the PFGP, huh? I'm not sure how deep we'll dive in. For now, we'll cooperate. Gotcha.
A coalition government with the PFGP can mean a lot of things, but one thing is for sure. Once Mr. Richter enters our government, it will be hard to get him to leave. We should be careful, sir.
Lucien looked at his watch.
I think it's time to conclude our little meeting, sir.
And there's a tap on my shoulder. Livia Suno had joined us on the balcony. Pardon the interruption, gentlemen. Mr. President, David Vichy's calling about the upcoming foreign policy meeting. Perfect timing, so I'll be right there. I will, sir. She turned to leave the balcony and then back to us. Congratulations on the victory, Mr. Bain. Peter. She looked Peter in the eye as she said this and ignored Lucien altogether. Peter's eyes followed her as she walked out. That's not suspicious at all. Getting pretty hot out here. Ugh, I need a drink. I can help you with that if you want. After I'm finished with the arrangements, of course. Of course, if I'm and you're done, we'll go have some nice whiskey. Great, my mouth's already watering. He laughed.
Alright, gentlemen, see you later.
And they both left. Alright, let's see. No newspapers. Let's see. Yep, there's at least one report here in Whole Sorts. Let's check that out. And it's just the one. Alright. Richter congratulates vote results. In today's press statement, Franz Richter of the PFJP congratulated President Rain for the successful vote.
In his speech, he showed support for the European leadership and called the Supreme Court to vote in favor of the proposal. Coolio. Alright, and so this one, we're just going to do this because it's nice and quick and easy. A Rumberg whistleblower arrives. A whistleblower from the Rumberg Security Bureau has escaped disorderly by crossing the border and turned himself into the authorities in Estord. Agent Chelston Hailstone has promised to reveal extremely sensitive information about the development of a weapons program. We can give refuge to him, risk antagonizing Rumberg, or send him back. Obviously, we're going to hold on to him. Especially since, because we're going anti-war here, we kind of need him for his nuclear weapons thingy to try to convince the Alliance of Nations, whatever this game's version of the UN is, to sanction Rumberg to basically keep them off our back. So yeah. Alright, and intel. Another report here, whistleblower in safe house. After receiving Agent Chelston Hale, we've secretly transferred him to a safe house near Antel. The perimeter is guarded by Special Forces units to ensure no escape or rescue attempt can be conducted by Rumberg intelligence. The agent is currently being interrogated thoroughly to make sure that the preliminary information provided is accurate. Coolio. And we got one newspaper. Geopolitico about the whistleblower. Who is Chelston Hailstone and what does he know? That's the question of the day as President Rain has agreed to grant refuge to this rogue national security agent from Rumberg. After escaping to Sordland, Hailstone promised to reveal sensitive government information in exchange for asylum. Whether Rain's decision will be worth the anger and possible retaliation from the Rumberg government remains to be seen. Cool. Alright, and I guess let's head to Earlery for a movie premiere. I have been invited to an exclusive preview of Alfred Carabuck. We'll go with that. Carabuck's new film, The Morning Shall Come. Although I wasn't in much of a movie-going mood, it would have been a presidential nod to 10. With its massive budget and... Oh, that's not an E, it's a C. Cheerbuck? We'll go Cheerbuck. Whatever. Cheerbuck's directorial cachet. This drama is set to be a milestone for Sordland's burgeoning film scene. Personally, though, I was just looking forward to spending some time with my family. It was a very hot and sunny day as Serge drove us to the old capital. The film was to be screened in the historic Cinema Anglais de Earlery, the very first cinema in Sordland. And I gazed at the vast plains between Holsord and Earlery as we drove on the H1. Serge maxed out the air conditioning to keep the Kadia comfortable. Frank fidgeted with his tie as he stared out the window. What's wrong, Frank? Since when do you care what's happening in my life? I mean, I've been busy lately, but I'll always have time for you. What an honor, Your Highness. Frank, don't touch your father that way. He's been working so hard for this country. You're hurting me, Frank. Frank turned his head away to look outside the window. I turned to Diana. You having a good time, sweetie? Diana nodded happily.
What about you, Papa? You want something, right? You should smile and keep doing your best even if you lose.
That's my girl. Thanks a lot. Now, no more politics talk. Is that right, Monica?
Of course. Let's just focus on having a nice time at the movies.
Monica folded her arms. We drove on in silence. She's probably still pissed off about the women's rights thing, which will probably pass whenever it comes back up later. Serge rolled down the soundproof glass between us.
Sir, we are about to enter early. We'll be at the cinema in a few minutes.
Thank you, Serge. I took a brief look outside as Serge rolled the soundproof glass up again. I could see the many towers of Earlery rising over what was left of the old city walls.
Wasn't your vineyard around here?
Monica pointed at the hills on the outskirts of the city. Yeah, it's just behind those hills. We should go there sometime.
And that would be lovely.
Serge knocked on the glass and gestured forwards. We were at the main square of Earlery, and the historic Cinema Anglais, the Cinema of Angels, was right in front of us.
Is this the place?
Yeah. It was an old Baroque-style corner building with walls that looked like marble from a distance. There were exquisite ornaments on each side of every window. Serge pulled the car to the entrance to the building, which was lit by vivid neon stripes in many colors.
Come on, let's get out.
Serge opened the doors and we exited onto the red carpet. We were just about to enter the building when a journalist managed to block the path.
Mr. President! Your constitutional reform was made through the Assembly. How do you feel about the chances of the Supreme Court?
I trust the justices will make the right decision.
Thank you, Mr. President. And were you aware that Tarkin Soul will be present at the proceedings?
We're gonna go with that one. No, of course I was. Before she could ask anything else, the guards ushered us inside the theater. In contrast with the cinema's Baroque-style exterior, the inside was modern and sleek, with bare walls painted in black, red, and white. The film's cast and crew were already in the foyer, with glasses of champagne in their hands. We approached the crowd and were welcomed by the producers and the event organizers. A man walked up to us with quick steps.
Madam, Mr. President, it's good to see you here.
He gently bowed at Monica and shook our hands.
It's an honor to meet you. I'm Arthur Sherbuck.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Sherbuck.
My producer told me you'd expressed admiration for my work.
Frank snorted. I glanced at him and he innocently took a sip from his cola.
It's very humbling to know that you've been watching and enjoying my movies. If you don't mind my asking, which one was your favorite? This might be slightly different from my previous works.
They were all my favorites, Mr. Sherbuck. He laughed.
You flatter me too much, Mr. President. I know myself know I myself know they aren't all winners. Come now, just pick one.
I mean, I don't know what movies this man made. Let's go with this one, maybe, hopefully. I love the man who saved the world? He stared at me for a while, as if he was trying to understand if I was joking or not.
That's by Miko Vargas, Mr. President, to beat my film, The Source Dream, for the top prize at the Burnfield Festival last year.
Whoopsie doodles. Frank looked me in the eye and struggled not to laugh.
Well, why don't we take our seats? It's about to start.
We entered the screening room, the lights dimmed, and the film began. It was a period drama set in the 1870s about a swordish soldier who pursues a doomed romance with a widowed British farmer during the conquest of Persia. There it goes. Jeez, thought it froze there for a second. As the credits rolled, I made an early exit to use the men's room. I was washing my hands when I heard an unmistakable voice behind me.
So, what did you think?
Talking Soul leaned on his cane. He had the same frail appearance I noticed at the assembly meeting. Yet up close, I could still sense the raw magnetism that had kept him in power for 20 years. I found the plot questionable, but it certainly looked spectacular. What about yourself?
A sentimental pablum for the enjoyment of housewives only, and for a period piece, the script contained far too many anachronisms.
Totes. I'm surprised to see you're still around, sir. What were you doing at the assembly?
My country was about to make a rash decision. I couldn't simply sit by.
We're just going to be as polite as possible here, so... I still have immense respect for you, Colonel. I wish it was reciprocated.
It will be when you prove yourself worthy of it.
Why do you want to use reforms block so badly?
I will not let you and that bleeding heart idiot Victor tarnish my precious constitution.
I'm doing this for the good of the country. Ha! Some of his spittle landed on my cheek.
You'll find out soon enough how your country repays you for your goodness.
He slipped past me and out the door. Sole security staff and mine were now clustered outside the washroom, forming a buffer against the large crowd that had gathered. That's Tarkin Soul, I heard someone scream. His guards closed around him and mine around me. By the time the chaos subsided, I was back in the car with my family, and Soul was long gone. Cool. Alright. Well, see, there's a whole bunch of reports, newspapers, 2 exclamation points. Jeez, it's a lot of stuff. But that feels like as good a place as any to go and call it for today. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.